Audio testing, 1, 2, 3. Lights on, camera rolling, and action.
Welcome to the Scaling Creator Podcast, the one-stop shop that explores problems, solutions, and stories for business-minded creators. I'm Soren Dickens.
And I'm Eriksen Dickens.
We'll be talking about everything from self-discovery, storytelling, leadership, marketing, sales, operations, and finance.
If you like a healthy dose of education mixed with a generous dash of insightful entertainment, prepare for your ears to be pleasured.
Oh, yeah. Make sure to check us out at scalingcreator.com and also join our free Discord community.
Scaling Creator launching in 3, 2, 1.
The following content is not intended for all listeners, but we strongly encourage all listeners to listen regardless. Welcome back to the Scaling Creator Podcast. I'm Soren Dickens, and I'm here with Jack Spitzer and Zach Reuter. We are here talking on the investing series, and today we're going to be talking about investing in technology and equipment. Now, as a creator, it's really common to find yourself wanting to invest in new technology and more commonly invest in equipment. And I remember in the early days of being a creator, always wanting to invest in the newest and greatest equipment. Now, when I first started as a creator, we started shooting on a Sony a7S II, and we shot on the Sony a7S II for a couple of years. And the one thing that I was always drawn to when new products and new equipment were coming out was, how would this take my business to the next level? Now, one of the things that I thought was, if I bought the newest and greatest equipment, that newest and greatest equipment would take my business to the next level. Now, if I were to fast forward 7 years to current day, I would recognize that none of that was true. The reason that isn't true is because if you just think that investing in equipment is going to take your business to the next level, what you're betting on is that your business and your business development and everything that goes into getting more business is just going to come naturally, and that's not true. If you get a new camera, if you get new lenses, new lights, that's all cool, and you might be able to take pictures with it and show it on social media. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the business skills that you need to sell your services, that's not going to be a reality. And today I'm going to be talking with Jack and Zach, who run a company called Epic Drone Tours. We've had them on a couple times, and they have a lot of equipment, very expensive equipment, and they have been down this road buying equipment too early, having the learning curve that comes with the equipment. So we're going to be talking about the technology and equipment that comes with being a creator and what that looks like in today's market. So I think that one thing that's really important to take into consideration is timing when it comes to investing in new technology and equipment. Technology in terms of new software and technology for the business development side of our companies is probably a more revisited conversation than the actual hardware and the equipment that the creatives are using. What I mean by that is the CRMs and like the lead gen tools and maybe the marketing tools that we use in our creative agencies, they're probably a little bit more tapped into than the creative technology that the creatives out in the field are using. And in your guys' case, you guys use drone technology and drone equipment, right?
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that looks like? So for people who might be listening who don't really know the full spectrum of drone technology, you know, we see pictures and videos of drones, but there's a whole gamut of drones out there, right?
There's drones for pretty much any application. You know, your standard DJI drones that people will take to the beach, all the way up to DJI drones that people, you know, that are the size of a car that people will go and survey a, 10,000 acre farm. So that's one section. And then we specialize in the FPV world of drones, where these are mostly custom built drones. They're small frames that are built to be able to fly in a first person point of view to create these really engaging shots that feel like you're flying through the space. And those range from, the tiniest little whoops that are about an inch tall, an inch wide, that you can just go crash around and they cost, a couple dollars, nothing, all the way up to Cinelifter drones, which are FPV drones that carry cinema cameras like a Red Komodo or an RE camera. And the price ranges, of course, vary anywhere from, $100 up to, 20 and 30 grand for a drone, just depending on what you're using it for. So it's just depending on the application and what you want to film.
Now, these drones you're talking about, they're not just the drones you buy on Amazon. These are drones you need to have a license to operate, right? And you're talking about drones where the camera that's on the drone is the quality of something you'd see in a movie, right?
Yeah, so on the higher end, yeah. Even the consumer drones these days that you can buy on Amazon are pretty damn good. You can shoot in 4K and get really beautiful shots, but the higher end ones are are a little bit more advanced and take a lot more engineering and building than just, buying it off Amazon and getting it in your mailbox and taking off.
What would you say the difference is between buying a drone that you can buy on Amazon? They call them like out of the box ready.
Ready to fly.
Ready to fly, right? That's right. They call them ready to fly drones. When you buy a ready to fly drone, what does that mean versus buying a drone where you actually have to build the drone with the camera, the streaming component, all of those different dynamics? Can you give us a spiel on the difference between what a ready to fly drone is for someone who might be trying to get those quick, easy shots versus the really dynamic city lifters and really expensive? I think they're probably like $30,000 or something for what you guys have. Dive into that to tell us a little bit about the difference between what a ready to fly drone is versus these custom drones that, I've seen like infinite variations of them, so I have no idea.
The ready to fly ones are mainly the DJI. So, we have different Mavics, things like that. Those ones you can grab from Amazon for, $1,000, $2,000 and they're ready to go. You just charge the batteries, you can fly, you can get really great footage, 4K, things like that. The main difference that we see is when you upgrade to some Cinelifter or first-person view drones, those drones are custom built. We have a manufacturer, he'll build them. And the main difference is he's got to tune them. So when you're putting something in the air that's got, 4 motors, a bunch of different weight, and, if we're putting a gimbal on, it changes the weight distribution, the center of gravity, and the power inputs to each motor is different. You have to have it tuned up so that it will, stay level. Whereas those ready to fly ones are all ready to go before you even get them. They've got algorithms going so that they're always going to be level, basically no matter what you do. With most of the drones that we fly, if you let off the throttle, it's going to fall out of the sky. So it takes a lot more skill both in the actual flying as well as preparing them to be ready to fly in the first place. So it's a trade-off of the skill level to be good at doing it takes a lot of practice, but the types of shots that you are able to get with those more dynamic drones, it's the next level.
Now, when you're investing in those next level drones that you're talking about, I want to bring it to a conversation where it's not just talking about drones, but talking about other equipment that video production company might be investing in. And like Red Camera is a good example. I think that's like the peak of equipment purchase in the video production world. If you buy a Red Camera, you're kind of at the top of owning the next level of equipment. So for you guys are taking the Red Camera, putting it on these drones and flying those drones around. So what is the perspective of a video production company like Epic Drone Tours when you own the Red Camera and what you're expected to do with the Red Camera versus what you were expected to do with the lower end camera? Are you now thinking that you're going to get bigger jobs, or are you thinking that you're going to immediately produce better work? What's the thought process behind getting the bigger and better equipment?
First off, going back to how your intro was, you can have all of the gear you want, you can make as perfect of a video as you want, but if you don't have the business acumen and the business skills to use your videos that you're creating to get more work, you're never going to get more work and you're going to have your pretty videos. We kind of jumped the gun a little bit earlier this year in buying these massive drones and buying the Red cameras because we thought that was what's going to take us to the next level, and we're going to get on these Hollywood film sets and be making these car commercials while we had potential for millions of dollars of business sitting in our lap that we could have spent effort on going and grabbing that business, doing those sales, talking to these people, and really excelling at what we were already doing before making that step to make that upgrade. And so that was something we learned, is we tried to get to that next level, which ended up neglecting what we were already doing, which, when you try to split your time across multiple things, it's going to hurt you. And I think what we should have done is waited on that and excelled at the stuff that we're good at, which is making these FPV tours, working in real estate, working with the clients we're already working with and getting more of those, and making the upgrade when we've gotten to a point where we've exhausted all of that. And I didn't think we got there yet. So one thing that we've learned is, sometimes it's as excited as you are to get the next best thing, it could be smart to hold off on that, as exciting as it may be. And that's still our plan, is to get on those sets and get those projects, but we're focusing on the sales and getting what we're good at now.
So these drones, these cine lifters, they're really expensive. And I know that in the process of building a business, that money probably could have been allocated towards business development, marketing, putting your guys' business in a place where it was removing your time and energy from the things that were repetitive, and putting you guys in a position where it replaced you in the repetitive tasks like doing outreach, doing business development, setting appointments.
Yep.
Would you say, looking back on those decisions, that you would have put that $50,000, $60,000 into business development first to get a consistent pipeline, consistent build? Because I know from our point of view, there have been many times where we spend a bunch of money and then realize, like, holy cow, we should have put that into our pipeline. Because at the end of the day, your pipeline's the most important thing. And if you have the tools to deliver on your pipeline, you're going to stay in business. But I think a lot of creators strike out, and I follow a lot of creators, and there's one creator in particular who he bought a red camera, and then about 6 months later he sold it, and he made this whole case study about why he sold his red camera. And he made this case study about he sold his red camera because, and he turned it into this whole course, of course. And he's like, I sold my red camera because I should have been investing in business development. And there's no secret behind that. If you're in business, you should be reinvesting into business.
Yep.
So tell me about what you guys are doing now after that learning experience of buying these cameras and these city lifters, because you guys still have them. Then that's a blessing, because you guys could have lost them. You could have been in a position where you had to sell them, right? But you didn't. So that's a huge win. People who don't have that business acumen will lose their equipment in the process of continuing to develop their business. That's just a fact. You can see that across so many creative industries where people will get to a point where they start having to liquidate their assets to stay in business. So the fact that you guys got through that, that's a huge testament to your guys' business skills. Tell me about how you guys took that as a learning experience and then converted it into the next phase of your guys' business development.
It definitely wasn't nice this year having to, pretty much all of our excess financial resources were going towards paying off these drones. So the opportunity that could have been if we, didn't have those expenses and had, spent them on more paid ads, on more staff, on, there's a million different things that you can say we could have spent them on. It's a good lesson for the future, but, can't control that at this point. So I think there were a lot of benefits to having them. They got our team really excited and knowing that we were investing in the future of the business to get more growth there. But yeah, we definitely could have used that money a little bit differently.
Dude, there's nothing to be ashamed of there. Like, I could list countless things, probably more losses than wins in terms of the things that we spent money on that were the wrong investments in technology and equipment than wins. And now looking back on it, you should probably spend everything that you make on business development to a point where you hire at least one other person in your business development department that's outside of a leadership role. And if you're in you guys are in a partnership. So it's as soon as the founders are out of sales roles because you guys know the business the best, you should definitely spend till you are replacing yourself in the process of setting appointments. And then once you get through there, then you can start to look at equipment. And that's something that I didn't realize. We spent this van. We're shooting this podcast right here in this van. Love the van. Biggest expense. It is a very expensive van. It's like a house, okay? And if I were to put all of this into business development, I would feel a little different than I do today. And it's not that it's not high risk, but what it is it puts me in a position where then as a founder, I have to work harder in sales, or I have to work harder to prospect and spend time looking for opportunity. Where if you could just spend, I'm going to throw $200K at my sales funnel, you can mess up a lot spending $200K on your sales funnel and figure it out. Where if you have to spend $200,000 worth of your own time into your sales funnel, then you're looking at a whole nother mess. So, when you talk about buying equipment as a videographer or as a production company, what would you say to a videographer who thinks that their purchase of their bigger camera or better lens is going to make them more money? What would you say to them? Instead of buying that camera or buying that piece of equipment, what would you invest in instead?
I would just dumb it down a little bit and think about what percentage are your videos going to improve with this new, if you go from a A7S III to a Red, let's say you get 15% better. Now look at if you spent that money on hiring a team member or better leads that you're scraping or paid ads, whatever it is. If you spent that money, what's the potential of growth on your business for the next year? It's probably a little more than 15%. You can probably double, triple. I think that dumbs it down a little bit and makes it kind of obvious that you can probably do a lot better than you're doing now with the gear that you have. People are shooting movies now on Sony's and iPhone, and you don't need that gear unless if you're shooting a Michael Bay movie, you can go rent it.
Wait, you said you're going to rent it, right?
Saying you can.
Yeah, you can rent the equipment.
Michael Bay calls. Everyone says, oh, I gotta be, the producer's only gonna call if I have that gear. Okay, if they do, then you rent the camera.
I think that there's something to be said about when someone hires you with a skill set, they're rarely hiring you because you own a piece of equipment. They're hiring you because of your ability to use the equipment, or they're hiring you because your ability to coexist with a different production crew. Like you can hang with a production crew, they like you. So creators that go out and buy equipment thinking that that's going to be their like leverage up, you know, sometimes it works for them. Like I know a couple of creators who they buy equipment and then they turn around and rent it out, and that's like their way of existing in the community. Some of them, they'll go and like buy an event space and they'll like create a studio, and that's their way of existing in the community. Now, I think that's cool, but if you were to go down into their numbers and look at what they do, they're often using their equipment and their assets more than their skill, which is a really good thing as a business owner. But if you're a production company and you want to get into the agency world where you have a team, you need to look at business development and investing in sales and marketing, period. You need to get more deals, and you need to learn how to lead other creators to do what you do to the standard of what you would like, so that clients will keep coming back. And I think that that's something that gets somewhat diluted in the creator world because it's so easy to go buy a red camera. Throw it on a credit card, go get a loan. In 2020, they were literally giving money away. I mean, just like buy whatever you want. Here's a van. Here's the house. Here's all this equipment. Like, yeah, here's another house. It's like, you just keep buying stuff. What that puts you in, it puts you into like a debt cycle, which is a whole other conversation. But if you're in a place where you can invest directly into revenue, and that's what we're talking about, is creators who are down to invest in sales and marketing, there's a lot to be said about that. I really believe that.
I mean, I will say there's one benefit that I did see from us, you know, throwing that money is like, it was a must. We have to sell. So it kind of lit that urgency under both of us that we had from being athletes. It's like, it was a spark. And that was a benefit that we did have, is like, okay, we did this. Like, you know, after a few weeks and a month and 2 months, we're like, you know, maybe it's something we jumped the gun on, but it's not something where we're like regretting it. You know, I don't think it's something that we regret doing. It's more of, okay, how do we get this to work out? And we were able to pay it off. And now we're to the point where, okay, we can look back. Maybe it wasn't the best idea to do it at that time, but there was, you know, a good side of it. Like Jack mentioned before, it showed our team that we're serious about investing in the future, you know, getting the gear, leveling up. It's just, you know, now we know, okay, what do we really need to invest in to level up is, you know, like you've mentioned, the processes, the marketing, the sales, filling the pipeline, and those opportunities are going to come from that.
How did you guys agree that you needed to focus to deliver on paying that off and making sure that you guys came through on that? Because you could have just sold it, right?
Yeah, but that would have just been a waste of time.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
It was a pretty just mutual understanding, I think.
We had 0%, and we said, okay, when that 0% card expires, we want that paid off.
That was August 11th, and it was for everything we had at the time, but we did it, and we got it all paid off. But, you know, this is not like a shot at creators, but I do believe that a lot of times creators know how to create. And, you know, this doesn't mean they can't learn these things, but they don't usually know the business side. And so I think it's, you know, they buy all this gear to kind of hide like maybe an insecurity that, you know, they don't know how to do marketing and sales. And so they buy the latest gear to get even better at that one thing that they're good at, which is creating and making these beautiful videos. But if you just, you know, it's hard, but if you just dig into that education a little bit to get good at the back end side of a business and become a business instead of just being a solopreneur, freelance creator, you know, there's so many opportunities out there.
Yeah, that's right. I think that if you are a creator and you're in a place where you're trying to level up and you think that buying technology or buying gear is the next move, before you do that, just like pick up the phone, reach out to people, try and get more business before you decide to invest in that gear. And if you have no direction, look, Jack and Zach are on here. Reach out to them. Just shoot them a message. They're going to respond. Where can they find you?
Every social platform at Patron Tours and at Jack Spitzer. As a creator, the key to doubling your business and to getting, you know, double the amount of shoots that you want is on this phone, not on your camera. Pick up the phone, message some people, call some people, research who you want to work with, and find the person in that business to email and to call and bombard them. And eventually they'll respond. 1 out of every 10 will respond, and that's going to get you a lot more work than, you know, buying the latest and greatest gear.
Right. Right. Yeah, when you buy a camera, the only company that actually knows you bought a camera is the company you bought it from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So check us out at scalingcreator.com. Subscribe. Also check us out, the Scaling Creator Discord. Where can people find you and Jack and Zach?
At Jack Spitzer with an S on every social platform, at Epic Drone Tours on every social platform, at Zach Ruder on most social platforms except TikTok, because he refuses to go on TikTok because it wastes his time, and www.epicdronetours.com for a stunning website.
You are a smart man, Zach, for staying off of TikTok. I really respect that. That's it today for the investing series, investing in technology and equipment. Here with Epic Drone Tours, these guys have invested in everything from really expensive cameras, drone technology, business development technology, CRMs, marketing tools, everything in that regard. We look forward to the next episode. Stay tuned for more of the investing series.